Baby girl found a German shepherd sitting beside an empty crib. What happened next left everyone in tears. A little girl. A silent scream. A moment that shattered the silence of an entire town. What she did next left doctors stunned and strangers in tears. This is more than a rescue. It's a lesson in bravery, love, and what it truly means to be human. Like, share, and subscribe. This story will stay with you long after it ends. The late afternoon sun filtered softly through the sheer curtains of a small nursery, casting gentle shadows on the walls lined with pastel colors and delicate toys. Outside the closed door, little Maya wandered curiously, her tiny feet barely making a sound on the polished wooden floor. At just 3 years old, her world was full of wonder and innocence. But today, something caught her attention. A quiet stillness that was different from the usual cheerful hum of her home. She stopped at the door, her eyes widening slightly. There, sitting beside the empty crib, was a German shepherd. His sleek fur was marked with streaks of gray, and his large eyes reflected a deep, unspoken sadness. The dog was motionless, his body tense but calm, as if he was keeping a silent vigil. Maya's first thought was that the dog was just resting, perhaps tired from a long day. But the way he sat, so steadfast, so protective, told a different story. The crib itself was empty, the sheets carefully tucked in, but the absence of a child felt heavy in the room. The silence was thick, almost tangible, pressing against Maya's chest as she took a tentative step forward. The dog didn't move. His gaze remained fixed on the empty cradle, as if waiting for someone who would never return. Maya's tiny hand twitched with uncertainty. Why was the dog there? Was he lonely? Was he guarding something precious? Her innocent mind tried to make sense of the quiet tension that filled the air. The contrast between the warmth of the room and the cold emptiness of the crib was like a quiet ache, a mystery begging to be solved. As she moved closer, the dog lifted his head slightly, meeting Maya's gaze with eyes that seemed to hold 1,000 untold stories. There was a softness there, a gentle trust, but also a shadow of loss. Maya felt a sudden rush of emotion, compassion mixed with confusion, the kind of feeling that stirs in the heart when innocence meets something too big to understand. The scene was heartbreaking yet beautiful. A loyal dog, unwavering in his watch, sitting by a space that should have held a child's laughter and dreams. It was as if he was the last guardian of a memory, standing silently in the face of loss. Maya's heart ached without knowing why, and she reached out slowly, as if her small touch might bring comfort to this silent sentinel. What Maya found next would unravel a story so touching, so raw, it left everyone who heard it in tears. The bond between a child and a dog, the mystery of the empty crib, and the love that transcended words, all intertwined in a moment that changed a family forever. Stay with us as we unfold this incredible journey, a story of hope rising from heartbreak, courage found in the smallest hands, and a truth that reveals the purest kind of love. This is more than just a discovery. It's a testament to the power of compassion and the unbreakable bonds between humans and animals. So, don't go anywhere. What happens next will move you, inspire you, and remind you that sometimes the most profound stories come from the quietest places. The neighborhood where Maya's family lived was the kind of place that felt like time had slowed down just enough for the world to catch its breath. Tree-lined streets curved gently through quiet rows of houses, each with its own small garden and swing sets that creaked softly in the afternoon breeze. It was peaceful, the kind of calm that made neighbors wave from their porches and children play freely in yards. Yet beneath that tranquility, a subtle sadness seemed to linger, like a whispered secret no one dared to speak aloud. Maya's home was nestled near the end of Willow Lane, a modest 2-story house painted a soft shade of cream with ivy crawling along its brick walls. The windows were large, letting in generous streams of sunlight, and inside, The air carried a mixture of lavender and old wood, a scent that was comforting yet tinged with melancholy. The house was filled with memories, laughter from happier times, but lately a heaviness had settled over its rooms, thickening the silence between family members. Maya, a curious and gentle-hearted 3-year-old, was the light of the household. Her big hazel eyes sparkled with innocence, always wide with wonder at the world around her. She loved to explore the corners of the house, from the creaky attic filled with forgotten treasures to the small flower patch her mother tended so carefully. Her days were full of simple joys, singing little songs, chasing butterflies in the garden, and drawing colorful pictures with crayons. Despite the brightness she carried within, Maya was acutely aware that things were different at home. Her father often sat silently in his worn armchair, staring out the window, while her mother's smiles felt rare and fragile. At the center of this changing home was Max, the German Shepherd. A handsome dog with a strong frame and intelligent eyes. Max had been part of the family since Maya was a baby. His thick coat of sable fur gleamed with health, and his movements were graceful yet watchful. Max was more than a pet. He was a guardian, a companion, and often the only source of comfort in the quiet house. He had a calm demeanor but could switch to alertness in a heartbeat, always ready to protect or console. Max's bond with Maya was special. From the moment Maya had taken her first steps, Max had been by her side, sometimes lying patiently while she hugged him, sometimes following her around the garden as if keeping an invisible shield around her. Their relationship was built on trust and unconditional love, a silent understanding that transcended words. Max seemed to sense the shifts in the household mood and often positioned himself near Maya, his presence a steady reassurance in a world that felt uncertain. The empty crib in the nursery told its own quiet story. It stood near the window, its white wooden bars pristine and untouched, adorned with soft blankets folded neatly on one side. The crib's emptiness was more than just a space waiting to be filled. It was a symbol of loss, a haunting reminder of an absence no one dared to name aloud. Maya's baby sister had been born premature and fragile, fighting for life with all her might, but the family had faced the devastating truth that some battles are too heavy even for the strongest hearts. The crib was a sacred place now, a repository of memories and whispered hopes, filled with an echo of love that never faded. The emotional atmosphere within the home was complex, weaving between moments of tenderness and waves of grief. Maya's parents struggled to hold themselves together, navigating the pain in ways only they could understand. Yet in the midst of sorrow, they leaned on each other and on Max, whose unwavering loyalty provided a balm for aching souls. Conversations were gentle and careful, often revolving around Maya's well-being, ensuring that despite the shadows, she would continue to feel safe and cherished. Maya's daily routine became intertwined with Max's quiet watchfulness. Mornings started with playful laughter as Maya clambered onto Max's back, pretending to ride him like a horse. Afternoons were spent in the garden, where Max lay lazily in the sun while Maya tended her flowers. Evenings found them curled up together, Maya's head resting against Max's warm fur as her parents whispered reassurances nearby. These moments of connection were small but profound, lighting the path through the family's shared grief. The neighbors, too, played a subtle but important role in the family's life. Willow Lane was home to a close-knit community where doors were rarely locked and help was always just a call away. Most neighbors were kind and respectful, offering smiles and occasional invitations to Maya for birthday parties or weekend picnics. However, there was a palpable sense of caution around the family's recent struggles. Some whispered gently about the empty crib they'd seen through the windows, others expressed concern for Maya's well-being, unsure how best to reach out without intruding. Attitudes towards animals in the neighborhood varied. While Max was widely loved for his gentle nature and protective instincts, There were murmurs from a few who saw large dogs as intimidating or troublesome. Yet no one could deny the calming presence Max brought to the home, nor the way he seemed to embody the spirit of resilience that Maya's family needed most. In this delicate balance of sorrow and hope, the first interactions between Maya and Max in the nursery began to shift something unspoken. Max's protective stance beside the empty crib was no longer just a silent watch. It became a symbol of steadfast love, an anchor for Maya's innocent heart. Their evolving relationship was marked by small gestures, a nuzzle when Maya felt unsure, a gentle paw resting on her lap, a shared quiet moment that spoke volumes. Together, Maya and Max navigated the tender spaces left behind by loss, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. And as the neighborhood watched quietly from a distance, the story of a baby girl and her loyal dog quietly unfolded, a tale of healing, courage, and the unspoken language of love. That afternoon, the sun filtered softly through the sheer curtains, casting warm, golden patterns across the nursery floor. Maya toddled quietly down the narrow hallway, her small footsteps almost swallowed by the thick rug beneath her feet. Her attention was drawn irresistibly to the familiar room at the end of the hall, the nursery, where she had often played among stuffed animals and brightly colored toys. But today, something was different. The door stood slightly ajar, as if inviting her to come closer, and an unusual stillness seemed to hang in the air. As Maya crossed the threshold, her eyes immediately found the empty crib, standing silently beneath the window like a forgotten sentinel. The soft blankets folded neatly on its side seemed untouched, almost as if waiting patiently for someone who was no longer there. She paused, her tiny hands clutching the hem of her dress, and for a moment simply stared. The absence was palpable, an emptiness that seemed to echo louder than any noise ever could. Max, the German shepherd, lay curled in his usual spot beside the crib. His body was relaxed, but his eyes remained sharp, scanning the room with a protective vigilance that spoke volumes. He was a silent guardian, his presence filling the space with a quiet strength that contrasted starkly with the crib's haunting stillness. Maya noticed him watching her intently, and in his gaze she sensed a story she couldn't yet understand. Curiosity mixed with a growing unease in Maya's heart. Her young mind struggled to piece together the strange feelings swirling inside her. Why was the crib empty? Why did Max seem so serious, so watchful? She approached the dog hesitantly, her small fingers reaching out to touch his soft fur. Max responded with a gentle nudge of his nose, as if reassuring her that she wasn't alone in this confusing moment. The silence between them was broken only by the distant ticking of a clock, but in that quiet room, time seemed to slow and stretch, holding its breath alongside Maya. She looked back at the crib again, her brow furrowing in puzzlement and a flicker of sadness crossing her face. It was then that a faint realization began to seep into her consciousness. Something was missing, something irreplaceable. Maya's footsteps carried her out of the nursery and toward the living room, where her parents often sat during the day. With tentative determination, she found her mother, who was folding laundry with a distant look in her eyes. "Mom." Maya's voice was soft but urgent. "Max is by the crib. The crib is empty." Her mother's head snapped up, eyes wide with alarm. In that instant, the unspoken truth seemed to crash down upon her like a tidal wave. She set the clothes aside and followed Maya back to the nursery, where Max stood, now fully alert, his body tense with anticipation. Her husband joined them moments later, his face pale and drawn, the weight of fear settling deep in his chest. Together, they looked at the empty crib and at Max, who paced slowly, his tail lowered but his eyes never leaving the doorway as if waiting for something, or someone, that should have been there. The family's fragile calm shattered, replaced by a storm of emotions swirling between disbelief, confusion, and rising panic. The search began immediately. Calls were made to neighbors, the local police, and family friends. Every corner of the house was inspected, the backyard scoured, the nearby streets combed for any sign of the missing baby. Maya's parents clung to each other, whispering prayers into the air thick with heartbreak. Meanwhile, Maya, too young to fully comprehend the gravity of the situation, felt the weight of sorrow growing around her like an invisible fog. Max's behavior grew increasingly poignant. The dog's protective instincts sharpened into something almost desperate. He barked softly when someone approached the nursery, circled the house restlessly, and refused to leave the porch where the crib had stood empty. His eyes conveyed an aching loyalty, a silent plea for the safe return of the child he had watched over so faithfully. Word of the missing baby quickly spread through the neighborhood. Friends and neighbors gathered, their faces etched with concern and disbelief. Whispered conversations filled the air as people shared fragments of information, trying to piece together what had happened. The usual tranquility of Willow Lane was replaced by a tense undercurrent of fear and uncertainty. Neighbors recalled moments when they had seen Max sitting steadfastly by the crib, as if guarding a precious secret. Some described hearing faint cries in the night, others mentioned strange visitors or unusual noises. The community's collective heart seemed to break with the family's pain, and many offered help, food, searches, and words of comfort to ease the burden. In the midst of the turmoil, Maya's innocence shone as a bittersweet light. Though she did not understand the full meaning of loss, her quiet presence and unwavering affection for Max became a source of strength for her family. Watching her interact with the dog, who remained her loyal protector, reminded them all of hope amid despair. As days passed, the empty crib stood as a haunting reminder of what was lost, but also of the love that endured. Max never left its side, and Maya's gentle hand continued to reach for the dog, seeking solace in his steadfast companionship. The family's pain was deep, but the bond between a little girl and her dog offered a thread of light, a promise that no matter what had happened, they were not alone. This heartbreaking discovery marked the beginning of a journey neither Maya's family nor their community would forget, a journey filled with tears, resilience, and the unbreakable ties that bind us through the darkest of times. The moment the reality of the missing baby settled into the hearts of Maya's family, a whirlwind of activity took over their quiet neighborhood. The weight of worry was palpable, but so was the determination. The family, joined by neighbors who refused to stand by helplessly, quickly gathered in the living room, mapping out a plan with trembling hands and hopeful hearts. Every minute counted, and the urgency was felt by all. They organized search parties, assigned zones, and prepared to comb every inch of the neighborhood, no matter how small or dark. Word spread like wildfire. The local police department arrived promptly, bringing with them the professionalism and resources that the family so desperately needed. Officers listened intently as Maya's parents recounted the moments leading up to the discovery of the empty crib, the dog's unusual behavior, and the chilling silence that had fallen over the household. Animal welfare volunteers also appeared, offering their expertise in handling Max and any other animals that might be involved or affected. Their presence brought a measure of calm amid the chaos. Max, the loyal German Shepherd, stood out in the midst of the confusion. Though the commotion swirled around him, his focus never wavered from the house, the porch, and the spot where the crib once cradled the child. He was more than a pet. He was a protector, a steadfast guardian who had taken it upon himself to watch over the missing baby. His instincts seemed almost supernatural, as if he sensed the fragility of the situation with a depth only animals possess. Whenever someone approached the nursery or tried to coax him away, Max emitted low, steady growls, not aggressive, but warning, demanding respect for his vigil. The community's involvement was nothing short of extraordinary. Neighbors who had rarely spoken before found themselves united by shared fear and hope. They handed out flyers with Maya's photo, held impromptu meetings in front yards, and organized search teams that trekked through woods, alleys, and nearby parks. Parents brought their children inside, while others joined the adults with flashlights and determination burning in their eyes. The atmosphere was a mix of despair and resolve. Tears mingled with prayers, and whispered encouragements fueled the collective will to bring the little girl home. For Maya's family, the emotional toll was immense. Every phone ring sparked a rush of hope followed by crushing disappointment. Days blurred into sleepless nights as they took turns searching, contacting authorities, and comforting one another. Maya's mother often clutched a blanket from the empty crib, whispering lullabies that no one could hear. Her father paced the halls, replaying every detail, wondering if he had missed a clue. Amid the heartbreak, Maya's quiet presence became a lifeline. Though too young to understand the full scope of the tragedy, she sensed the heaviness that hung in the air. Her gentle touches to Max, her soft voice calling his name, reminded the family of the innocence that still endured. The rescue teams faced numerous challenges. The terrain around the neighborhood was a maze of hidden nooks and thick underbrush. Weather conditions turned unpredictable, complicating the search. Every sound sparked a flurry of activity, only to lead to dead ends. Yet, despite the exhaustion and mounting frustration, no one gave up. Authorities deployed search dogs, drones, and even began door-to-door inquiries to gather any scrap of information that might lead them to Maya. Each lead, no matter how small, was chased with fervor. In the midst of this frantic search, Max's role deepened beyond that of a loyal companion. He became a symbol of hope, a living reminder of the precious life they all sought to protect. The family's bond with him grew stronger with each passing day. Maya's parents entrusted him with their fears, their prayers, and their hopes, finding comfort in his unwavering presence. The dog responded with gentle nuzzles, quiet companionship during sleepless nights, and protective watchfulness that never faltered. Neighbors too began to see Max not just as an animal but as a beacon of strength. Stories circulated of how the dog had been found sitting silently by the crib, how he had refused food and water until the family was reassured. Many came to visit, offering treats and kind words, knowing that the dog had endured a silent vigil that no one else could bear. These acts of kindness created a ripple of community solidarity, lifting the family's spirits and reminding everyone that they were not alone. As the days unfolded, emotional scenes played out across the neighborhood. Vigils were held outside the family home, candles flickering in the twilight, voices raised in prayer and song. Volunteers distributed food and water to the search parties, offering small comforts amid the anxiety. The local school organized a fundraiser to support the family's needs, and social media buzzed with messages of encouragement, spreading Maya's story far beyond the quiet streets of their town. Through it all, the family remained tightly knit, drawing strength from each other and from Max. They shared memories of the baby, her first steps, her laughter, the way she reached for Max's fur, and clung to hope with fierce determination. The German Shepherd's protective spirit became a source of inspiration, a reminder that love and loyalty can shine brightest in the darkest moments. The rescue effort, while daunting, was fueled by this unwavering hope. Every lead pursued, every hand joined in search, was a step closer to bringing Maya home. The community's collective heartbeat matched the dog's watchful vigilance, creating a powerful force united by love, courage, and the belief that no child should ever be lost. The search for Maya had stirred a quiet neighborhood into a whirlwind of suspicion, hope, and fear. As the initial shock of the baby's disappearance settled, the police intensified their investigation. Detectives arrived in the early morning, methodical and focused, determined to piece together the fragments of a puzzle that seemed heartbreakingly complex. They began by examining the house in painstaking detail. The empty crib, the floorboards beneath the porch where Max had been sitting, and every room where the little girl had last played. Forensic teams swept for any traces, fingerprints, hair fibers, anything that might tell a story the family couldn't yet voice. Witness interviews became a cornerstone of the investigation. Neighbors, once friendly faces seen only in passing, now sat across from officers with anxious eyes and shaky voices. They recounted what they had seen in the days leading up to Maya's disappearance: strange visitors to the house, unfamiliar cars idling at odd hours, even whispered arguments that seemed out of place in such a peaceful community. Some neighbors spoke of noticing Max's behavior shift days before, his usual calm replaced with a tension that now made sense in hindsight. The investigators noted every detail, however small, knowing that the truth often hides in the minutiae. Meanwhile, Maya's family grappled with a torrent of emotions. Their pain was raw, layered with confusion and desperation. Each police visit reopened wounds. Every question from officers was a reminder of the harsh reality they were facing. Maya's mother, once vibrant and full of hope, now often sat quietly, clutching a worn teddy bear, while her father paced restlessly, clinging to any piece of information that might lead to his daughter. Friends and neighbors gathered in quiet support, their own grief mingling with the family's, creating a tight-knit circle of shared heartbreak and determination. One of the most puzzling aspects of the case was Max, the loyal German Shepherd. The police turned their attention to him, not just as a family pet but as a potential key to understanding the mystery. They reached out to animal behaviorists and local shelters to learn more about Max's past. It emerged that Max had once belonged to another family, one that had faced tragedy of their own. Reports suggested he had been found wandering near the edge of town months earlier, his previous owner missing under suspicious circumstances. Could Max's presence have been a silent warning, or was his protective nature simply a testament to his enduring loyalty? The investigators pondered these questions, adding layers to an already tangled web. As the inquiry deepened, signs of possible neglect or foul play began to surface. Forensic analysis revealed faint traces of mud and unfamiliar fibers beneath the porch where Max had guarded the empty crib. Surveillance footage from a nearby street camera showed a shadowy figure moving near the house late at night, just days before Maya vanished. Authorities considered every angle. Was the disappearance accidental, a tragic consequence of carelessness? Or was something more sinister at work? The neighborhood buzzed with speculation, each whispered theory fueling both anxiety and a fierce resolve to find answers. The media soon caught wind of the unfolding drama. Local news crews arrived, their cameras capturing the sorrow etched into the faces of Maya's family and neighbors. Reports highlighted Max's unusual behavior, portraying the dog as a silent sentinel and symbol of hope amidst despair. Social media exploded with messages of support, calls for information, and widespread concern. The community's story became a beacon that drew attention from beyond the town's borders, amplifying both the pressure on investigators and the shared urgency felt by all who followed the case. Community meetings were held, where residents voiced their fears and frustrations. Anger simmered beneath the surface, anger at the unknown circumstances that led to Maya's disappearance, and anger at a system that sometimes seemed ill-equipped to protect its most vulnerable. Yet amid the pain and turmoil, hope endured. Candlelight vigils were organized, their flickering flames a testament to the neighborhood's refusal to give up. Parents held their children closer, and strangers bonded over a shared commitment to justice and safety. Through all this, the bond between Maya and Max grew ever more profound. Despite the chaos swirling around them, the moments when the family saw Max resting gently beside the empty crib, his eyes reflecting a mix of sadness and vigilance, brought an almost sacred stillness to the household. Maya's parents found comfort in Max's presence, interpreting his quiet watchfulness as a bridge between them and their missing child. The baby girl herself, though too young to fully comprehend the situation, responded to Max with a tenderness that softened the edges of their grief. This emotional connection became a source of strength. Maya's mother began sharing stories with local support groups about the healing power of animals during times of crisis. Max's loyalty inspired fundraising efforts to support search operations and animal welfare programs. The dog's protective nature reminded everyone that sometimes the most unexpected heroes emerge from the shadows, offering solace when words fail. As the investigation pushed forward, the mystery surrounding Maya's disappearance began to unravel, but new questions emerged with each answer. The police pieced together a timeline that implicated previously unknown individuals, while forensic experts continued their painstaking work to uncover every hidden detail. The community's commitment never waned. Their voices echoed in town halls and online forums, demanding transparency and justice. In the midst of uncertainty, the story of Maya and Max transcended tragedy to become a powerful narrative about resilience, compassion, and the unbreakable bonds that tie us together. It was a reminder that even in the darkest times, hope can be found in unexpected places, and that sometimes the quietest guardians watch over us all. The days following the harrowing search for Maya marked the beginning of a slow, tender journey toward healing, not only for the little girl but for the entire family and community. The emotional scars ran deep, etched by uncertainty and fear, but with time, care, and unwavering support, the wounds began to mend. Inside the family home, a gentle transformation was underway. Maya's parents, once consumed by anxiety, started to reclaim moments of peace. Their hearts, though still heavy, found solace in the smallest signs of progress. Maya herself was surrounded by warmth and tenderness, her days now filled with calm routines designed to restore a sense of safety and normalcy. Therapy sessions, both emotional and developmental, were introduced carefully to help her process the trauma she had endured. Each smile she offered was a victory, a testament to resilience that inspired everyone around her. Max, the steadfast German Shepherd, played an indispensable role in this healing. The once wary dog, his loyalty unbroken by the ordeal, gradually found his own path to recovery. Specialized veterinary care addressed his physical needs, while gentle rehabilitation helped ease the lingering anxieties that came from the traumatic experience. Max's eyes, once clouded with worry, began to sparkle again with life and joy as he spent his days beside Maya, acting as both protector and companion. Their bond, forged in the fires of crisis, grew stronger with every passing moment. These daily interactions were nothing short of miraculous. Watching Maya reach out her tiny hand to stroke Max's fur, feeling his reassuring presence by her side, was a reminder of the profound connection between humans and animals. The dog's calming influence helped Maya face her fears, offering comfort in silence that words could never express. Max, in turn, found purpose and peace in the girl's laughter and gentle touch. Together, they navigated the delicate path from trauma toward hope. The family's healing was mirrored by the community's compassionate response. Neighbors who had once simply watched from afar now rallied with heartfelt support. They organized gatherings to share stories of courage, offered meals and childcare, and helped create safe spaces for the family to heal. Local counselors volunteered their time, recognizing the importance of addressing the psychological impacts on everyone involved, especially the youngest and most vulnerable. This collective effort fostered a renewed sense of unity. The neighborhood, once fragmented by fear and suspicion, began to weave itself back together through empathy and shared commitment. Awareness campaigns on animal welfare and child safety gained momentum, led by residents who wanted to ensure no family endured such pain alone. The story of Maya and Max became a catalyst for change, inspiring vigilance and kindness in equal measure. Symbolically, the journey of healing carried a powerful message. It was about second chances for Maya to reclaim her childhood, for Max to trust and love without fear, and for the community to grow stronger in compassion and resilience. The empty crib that once echoed with silence slowly filled with light and laughter once more, a beacon of hope rising from the shadows of despair. As days turned into weeks, the family's smiles grew more frequent and genuine. Maya's progress became a shared triumph, celebrated not just within the walls of their home but throughout the neighborhood. Max's joyful playfulness reminded everyone that healing was possible, that love could mend even the deepest wounds. In this tapestry of recovery, every thread mattered: the gentle hands that cared, the listening ears that offered comfort, and the hearts that refused to give up. The story of healing was far from over, but with each step forward, the darkness receded a little more, replaced by the enduring light of hope, love, and unbreakable bonds. The journey that began with uncertainty and fear finally reached a moment of profound resolution. Maya, the little girl whose disappearance had cast a shadow over the entire neighborhood, was now safe, her return a beacon of hope and a testament to the power of love and community. The relief that washed over her family was indescribable. Tears flowed freely, mingling sorrow with overwhelming gratitude. Though the scars of that time would never fully fade, there was an unshakable sense that they had triumphed together. Max, the German shepherd whose unwavering loyalty had protected Maya in her most vulnerable hours, found a permanent place within the family's heart and home. No longer just a guardian, he became a symbol of resilience, devotion, and the unspoken bond that can exist between humans and animals. His gentle presence was a daily reminder of the courage it takes to stand watch over those we love, and of the healing that love can bring. The family, once fractured by fear and pain, was now united by gratitude and a deep respect for the quiet hero who had made all the difference. The community that had rallied around Maya and her family also found itself forever changed. Their collective experience sparked a new awareness about the fragility of childhood, the importance of vigilance, and the profound loyalty of animals. Local groups organized workshops on child safety, animal welfare, and the signs to watch for when someone might be in trouble. The story of Maya and Max became more than just a tale of rescue. It was a call to action, inspiring neighbors to look out for one another with renewed dedication. At its core, this story reflected the enduring power of innocence and protection. Maya's innocence, shining through even the darkest moments, reminded everyone of the preciousness of life's simplest joys. Max's instinct to protect, born from loyalty and love rather than fear or obligation, taught a lesson about unconditional devotion. Together, they embodied the best of humanity and nature, the innate urge to safeguard, nurture, and never give up. As the community gathered for a small celebration to mark Maya's return, the atmosphere was filled with a mixture of joy and quiet reflection. Speeches were made, voices choked with emotion as families shared their stories and recommitted to caring for their neighbors, both human and animal. The neighborhood had learned a hard lesson, but it had also discovered an unbreakable strength rooted in compassion. To all the viewers watching the story unfold, there is a heartfelt message. The safety and well-being of children and animals depend on each of us. It takes a village to protect the vulnerable, to speak up against neglect, and to offer kindness when it's needed most. Look around you. See the children playing, see the animals waiting for a loving hand. Be vigilant, be compassionate, and never underestimate the impact you can have. The closing scene brings us full circle. A quiet afternoon just like the one when Maya first spotted Max by the empty crib. This time, the crib is no longer empty, and the house is filled with laughter and warmth. Maya sits beside Max, stroking his fur gently, her eyes bright with a trust that has been rebuilt. The sun filters softly through the windows, casting a golden glow over the room, a symbol of hope renewed and healing embraced. This story may have begun with tears, but it ends with a powerful testament to love's ability to mend even the deepest wounds. Maya and Max's bond is a shining example of how protection and kindness can transform lives. May it inspire all who hear it to cherish innocence, protect the vulnerable, and carry forward a legacy of compassion. Remember, every child deserves safety, every animal deserves love, and every heart has the power to make a difference. Together, we can build a world where stories like this are rare, and where hope, healing, and love always prevail. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing tales. Until next time, keep your heart open and your mind curious.